Hi everybody, this is Christine from MYXAR. I'm sharing a quick product update. We're excited to bring to market the first AI-powered marina management platform that allows communication through natural language. Let me start by orienting you to what's on the screen. You're seeing there's three connected experiences. On the left is the member experience, in this case the boater. In the center is a management platform, the marina, and on the right is the staff experience. While this example focuses on marinas, the same model applies to any membership-based organization, such as golf clubs, recreational centers, or professional associations. At the core, you always have members, the organization, and staff, and a lot of operational coordination in between. MYXAR connects all of these in a single shared data foundation. I'll start with the member side. Today, most member interactions require phone calls, emails, or in-person visits. Our goal is to move that interaction into a single conversation interface. Instead of clicking through menus, members can just ask questions. For those who prefer a more traditional menu-driven experience, that option is always available, and I'll show it later. Staying with the conversational interface for the moment, I can ask, for instance, how long my boat is. The system sees that I have multiple vessels and asks me which one I'm referring to. Once selected, it immediately returns correct information. The key idea here is a shift from navigation to conversation. All vessel data lives in one place, including dimensions, service history, location, and maintenance records. You simply have to ask the question. Members can also submit service requests in this way. A very common example is a pump out. Instead of calling the marina, putting stickies on the side of the boat, or visiting the front desk, the member just has to ask for it. Here you see me asking for a pump out. The system sees multiple vehicles and asks me for which one. It proposes a date and time. I can accept it or change it. I'll say I need it done by Thursday afternoon. I pick a time, and then it asks me for any special instructions. I'll add a note saying that the cap opted sticks. The request is now submitted. At this point, the member is done. No phone calls, no front desk, no follow-up emails. We can already see that the request appears in the Marina dashboard, where it can be assigned to a staff member and tracked as it proceeds through the system. What matters here isn't just convenience. Requests are now structured, trackable, and visible to everybody involved. This is a major change from how things are done today. I'll quickly show you some other self-service features. As a member, I have a dashboard showing notification, tasks, and anything that needs my attention. The layout is completely configurable, but the goal is to surface what matters most at a glance. I can also manage my vessels directly. I can see my multiple vessels. When I open a vessel, I can view all its information, including the current location. Location is captured automatically through device geopositioning or by scanning a QR code on the boat. When a QR code is scanned, the vessel's position is recorded so that both the members and the marina know exactly where it is. I'll show you that again in some detail from the staff perspective. So again, we were looking at this from a marina perspective only, but the same model applies far beyond boats. It could be RVs, golf equipment, or any asset tied to a member. There are many daily service requests that can be made through a menu-driven interface or through an agentic AI natural language interface. The choice is completely yours. These include things like pump up, gas out, or cleaning. Each marina defines which service they offer. The core idea is simple, guided workflows that replace phone calls and manual coordination, while keeping everything visible and easy to manage from both the member and the marina perspective. MYXAR currently includes many flows, including launch, haul out, provisioning, maintenance, and onboarding. Let's now track one of these more complex flows and track it through the three environments. Maintenance is a good example because it moves through submission, diagnosis, quoting, approval, scheduling, execution, and invoicing. Each step unlocks the next step, so the context is never lost and accountability stays clear from both a staff and a member's perspective. We'll walk through this flow using the menu-driven interface. I'll start with all environments set to their respective dashboards. The maintenance flow starts with a boater initiating a request. This is done by entering the maintenance request menu, which brings up a mini dashboard where the boater can see all the current as well as past requests. From here, the boater selects maintenance and which vessel requires the maintenance. Title to keep things clear. Then they set the severity. In this case, because the boat isn't operational, the severity is high, and a high-level description of the problem. One of the most valuable features here is the ability to attach photos and videos. The assumption is that you're standing beside your boat and something has gone wrong. The fastest and cleanest way to explain the problem is with a photograph. So I select photos and upload them directly from my device. In some cases, sound matters more than images. For example, if an engine or a pump is making a strange noise, a short video is often more useful than photographs. The system supports both, so the member can choose what is the best representation of the issue. Once everything is entered, the boater confirms the request details and submits the request. With this, we move to the Marina side. Just a side note here, you'll see on the very right-hand side that the agentic AI is available here as well. In fact, it's available through all three environments. For this walkthrough, however, we will stick with the menu-driven flow, so I'll close the sideboard so we have more space on our laptop. What's important to note is that the request is already here. No delays, no manual handoff. If I switch to the maintenance requests, I see the new request and its current status. I quickly review to make sure it's sufficient and to determine if it requires an external vendor. As a starting point, I assign it to an internal staff member. I select the staff member, the system shows me the availability, I choose a date and time, and assign the task to Brian to take a look at it. Now switching to the staff experience, Brian is planning his day and sees the high severity request has come through. He prioritizes that task first. He opens the request, starts with the overview. The overview shows him exactly where the boat is located, along with the owner information and contact detail. When he arrives at the vessel, the first thing he does is scan the QR code of the boat. This confirms that he's working on the correct vessel and records the boat's location at the time the work begins. As part of the diagnosis, he uploads additional photographs to more clearly show the extent of the damage. He then enters this detail in the diagnosis, recording the time that was already spent, estimating the hours required to complete the repair, and a list of material and parts needed. Once all the information is captured, he completes the diagnosis. At this point, he's finished, and all the details are now in the system, ready to move to the next stage of the flow. The system automatically moves to quoting, which is done at the Marina. At this point, the status has already been updated. When the staff member sees that a quote is required, they start by reviewing everything that has happened so far: the original request, the diagnosis, notes, photos, and chats. From there, we enter the quoting tool. While the interface is straightforward, it supports a high level of detail and flexibility. The first step is to confirm whether the work will be handled internally or externally. In this case, we will be working completely internally. The staff member then works through the line items, adding components, quantities, and unit prices. Prices can be entered manually or pulled from pre-configured value. For certain items, such as tow rails, multiple items are available. In this example, there is a generic option and a branded option. Each have a different price. These options are clearly documented within the quote. The same approach applies to other components, such as core material, where different options can be selected and priced accordingly. Once all items are accounted for, the quote is reviewed and sent to the customer. At this point, the workflow transitions to the customer, and the Marina team can track progress as it moves forward. Now, as we transition back to the boater experience, you'll see that the status has been updated automatically. The boater can review everything that has happened to date, including the original request, the diagnoses, and a clear timeline showing each step that was completed. As the boater reviews the quote, they'll notice that there are a few decisions to be made, specifically around the tow rail and the core material. Once these selections are made, the quote is ready for approval. At this point, the workflow moves back to the Marina, and the work is scheduled directly within the app. This should start to feel familiar because it closely mirrors the way the initial diagnosis was assigned. We schedule the work, and you'll see that the system automatically suggests the technician who completed the diagnosis. In this case, we'll continue with Brian. We can see that Brian has sufficient availability to complete what is a fairly involved repair. The workflow continues, and on Brian's side, he sees that the work has been approved and marked as a high priority. As with every task, the first step is to scan the QR code, which confirms that he is working on the correct vessel and logs the start of the job. Brian completes the first portion of the work, but pauses while waiting for the tow rail to arrive. He uploads photographs and added notes so that both the Marina and the boater have full visibility into the progress. Before leaving, the tow rail arrives, allowing Brian to complete the repair. He adds final photos and a brief description of the completed work, and that marks the job is finished. At this point, the workflow transitions back to the Marina. The next step is invoicing. The invoice is automatically created with all the line items pre-populated from the quote and completed work. The Marina reviews it, confirms everything looks correct, and sends it to the customer. On their side, they've been kept up to date every step of the way. The invoice is there in all its detail, and all that is left is for him to pay and then enjoy the water. Well, the demo focuses on marinas. The model applies broadly: golf courses, recreational centers, RV parks, or anywhere you have members, assets, staff, and complex coordination. Once the foundations are in place, you can layer on integrations like weather data sensors, security systems, insurance-driven alerts. This is how operations become proactive instead of reactive. That's the picture we're trying to paint: a single shared operational foundation that connects members, staff, and assets. Less friction, more visibility, and better outcome for everyone involved.